thank you again. We really are excited to announce that the Activated People has relaunched. We took a little over a year off to regroup and to reorganize, and we started off as a digital magazine to promote social justice topics. And when George Floyd incident happened, we decided to delve a bit more into activism. And we were able to accomplish quite a great deal in 2020. We'll talk a little bit more, a little more detail about those accomplishments a little later on in the program. But that said, we really feel like there's an opportunity and a gap for the activated people to fill, and we really appreciate everyone's support in the past, and we look forward to continuing to do this great work as a nonprofit organization that is specifically and more directly aimed at promoting racial justice. And at this point, now I'll just like to introduce the rest of the board members. Not sure if I introduced myself actually. So I'm Kofi Annan. I'm the president of the Activated People. I will pass it over to Teresa.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Teresa Cuto Dickerson, and I am serving as secretary for the Activated People. I am really excited to be part of this relaunch. We did some amazing work with when we were active 2 years ago, and be excited to go into more detail around that, and really looking forward to how we can take the same energy that we had in the past and move forward with some really amazing agenda items that we have coming for you. So that is me. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Tiara Ragland. I am serving on the board of the Activated People as the treasurer, and excited to be here, excited to build with you all this year. Thank you.
Awesome. And really excited to have Tiara on board, as well as Valerie and Teresa. Now, Valerie just informed me that she's having some technical difficulties, and so she will not be able to speak. But we certainly appreciate her presence, and we will pivot. So I'll talk a little bit now about the mission of the Activated People. So the Activated People's mission is to advocate for legislation, regulations, and government policies and programs to improve racial justice equity. And in doing this work, we plan on holding ourselves accountable and others accountable to the social change in the work at the individual, institutional, and systemic levels in order to address overlapping dynamics of oppression. We're also going to focus on accessibility. We believe in creating environments that are accessible to all identities with a focus on the Black communities. One of our core values is anti-racism. So we believe in centering and a recognition of the pervasiveness of anti-Black racism and white supremacy culture. Empowerment. We also believe in empowering the Black community through sustainable practices and collective liberation. Joy, we believe in the power of joy, and the celebration are essential ingredients for healing and work towards social change. And finally, transparency. We believe in engaging the community-centered decision-making process and removing barriers to information access. So that's a little bit about the things that we value. And the things that are informing our mission. So at this point, we're going to take a little look back for those of you who aren't intimately familiar with some of the work that we did. Teresa is going to give us some quick highlights about some of the work that we've done in the past.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, we did some really amazing work in our first year being activists. As Kofi mentioned, we started off as a magazine. So our first year of activism was really jam-packed with a lot of great work and we worked with a lot of great people. One of the really big things that we worked on was this coalition for reimagining what policing looked like in Virginia. It was a coalition that had over 30 plus organizations that came together in order to reimagine what policing would look like. And that information that we compiled from those organizations and the meetings that we had and the groups, small groups, we worked together to build some legislative agenda items that we were able to work with local state officials in order to get some accomplishments done. And so a lot of our work was put into some of the legislation that got passed that year. Another thing that we were able to accomplish was the mass drive. On the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, the activated people, along with a coalition of multiple organizations in the Northern Virginia area, was able to raise over $5,000 to purchase a little bit over 10,000 masks, which was distributed to economically disadvantaged communities, like I mentioned, during the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. So at the time when you couldn't find a mask or masks, the prices were rising, the activated people, along with local organizations in the area, were able to raise this money and get masks to the people who needed them, who were the most vulnerable at the time. We also worked on some advocacy for a Virginia-wide gang database, which was a local win. And I'm gonna let Kofi explain that a little bit more. So Kofi, go ahead and jump in and talk about that one.
Sure. So we did some work both locally in the Fairfax, Northern Virginia area, as well as statewide, to try to put some restrictions as to how the government labels people as gang members. A lot of people don't recognize the danger that this presents the fact that there are very few regulations around that. It creates an opportunity for the government to surveil entire families or friends or even entire neighborhoods with very little actual evidence that these people are engaged in criminal activity. And so we are continuing to work. We will continue to prioritize this as something that we need to work on in the future. We did have some legislation that quite unfortunately didn't make it through the General Assembly, but we will push again. We did have some success in Fairfax County as the Fairfax County Police stopped using one of the primary databases that they relied on to enter people's names into. But there's still a lot of work to be done across the state. So we look forward to continuing to re-engage in that fight.
And one of the not last, but obviously not least, we also during this time hosted a lot of forums, educational, informative forums, focusing primarily on Black voices in Virginia, that allowed us to educate our communities, as well as bring into focus uplifts issues that are targeting or plaguing the African American community today. So that's just a look at some of the things that we accomplished, working together with the community members and advocates, local advocates, statewide advocates, and even partnering with some national advocates in order to make Virginia the best place that it could possibly be for everyone, and that includes Black Americans. So I will kick that back over to you, Kofi.
Our agenda is fairly ambitious. We are. I'm going to drop our website. First of all, our website is theactivatedpeople.com, but I'm going to drop the link to our priorities, which is theactivatedpeople.com/priorities, where you could take a look at what our legislative priorities are going to be for this upcoming year, 2022-2023. The first thing that we're going to work on doing is a broad agenda item, but just to increase police accountability. That's always something that's going to be at the forefront of the Activated People's mission, and ending mass incarceration. Now, those are right now they're intentionally broad because we do plan on streamlining those and adding some more details as we go along. But we definitely would want to make sure we have some input from the community to make sure that we're representing the interests and that the community, things that the community is asking for. But for example, that Teresa just gave the effort to restrict the use of gang databases, that would fall under this category as far as legal justice. Education, we want to make sure that we are promoting equity in education. I know there's a lot of conversation around CRT and a lot of other issues pertaining to how Black kids are educated and the types of things that are in public schools. But we also want to make sure that we're focusing on the curriculum to make sure that our Black kids are also receiving the same quality of education. And I think, just from, talking to a lot of parents, this is a lot more important issue that does not get nearly as much attention as it should. We're also going to have some conversations about charter schools. This is also a conversation that there's an ongoing conversation nationally, but we're going to have a debate on that issue coming up in September 27th. Our full list of calendar of events is also on our website. So theactivatedpeople.com/events. If you want to take a look and register for any of these upcoming events, feel free to do so. And the other thing we're going to be talking about is reparations. So we're going to have a series of discussions where we talk about reparations. What do they look like? What do they look like in other states? How might that take form in Virginia? And we're going to talk to some of the experts who are leading that fight and some of the activists who are involved in that fight, both here in Virginia as well as nationally. So we want to continue to beat that drum and make sure that this is something that in the years ahead, we could find a solution that is supported by the community. So we're keeping it simple right now. As we move forward, as we get more members, we will that agenda is likely to change and be refined and have some more nuts and bolts to it. But there's a lot of opportunity and we look forward to hearing from the rest of the community on as to what that might look like.
Right. Yes. So we are the activated people, and to be the activated people, we need the people that's what we are calling our members. One of the most beautiful things in the beginning of the activated people is to see hundreds of Virginians from across the Commonwealth on the Zoom screen representing different parts of the Commonwealth. And we hope in this relaunch that those folks can also join us. So you can visit theactivatedpeople.com/become a member. And Kofi will put that in the chat for your access. And that is how you become a member. You will be given all of the things to become activated here in Virginia. As Teresa mentioned, we will do lots of trainings and events to make sure we continue to build Black political power here in Virginia, and centering the issues with Black folks with our education, reparations, and gang database platforms. Now we will, I'll also talk about, because I know Valerie's still not able to talk, we're doing a GoFundMe. We'll also post that link in the chat. We were an LLC, and we're transitioning to a 501c3 nonprofit, which requires us to file some paperwork, do the things that we need to do to be an official nonprofit. So we would love your support in that effort as well. Again, thank you, and we hope that you become part of the people.
But yeah, we're really excited. As the slogan says, we retool, re-energized, reactivated, and ready to take on the fight back to for the people and to promote racial justice in the state of Virginia. So we hope you would join us. We hope you would support us in any way possible. Visit the website, theactivatedpeople.com, become a member, and please, we definitely welcome your financial support and any other type of support. So until next time, we hope to see you at our future events, and thank you so much.
Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time.